Welcome to another episode of Just More Fix. This is James. With me in this episode is Lacey.
Hey.
You can find us online at justmorefix.com or on Twitter at justmorefix. If you like us, you can support us at Patreon, and you can give us a rating and review at iTunes or wherever you find us at. In this episode, we're going to talk about bringing out your dead. And now, it's time to get our gaming fix.
I'm Willie D. Nelson from All Things Good and Nerdy, a pop culture podcast, part of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other tantalizingly geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Welcome to Just More Fix. One quick update on our Kickstarter. So we have secured our artist for the portraits of the three sisters, and Ivy Fowler is going to be doing the artwork for us. So you can check her out on Instagram, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. She's got some really cool artwork there, and we're going to do some obviously black and white stuff because it's our zine is black and white. And if you go to her Instagram, there's a couple cool black and white pieces that she has on there that I thought were pretty cool and kind of fit with our theme. She has some pretty clean, more uplifting cartoonish style stuff on there, and then she has like three black and white ones that are kind of have a different feel to them, like this gritty, one of them is like a death Grim Reaper thing or whatever that I thought looked pretty cool. So yeah, check her out, and we're happy to have her on board and helping us out to get some portraits put together.
She also did the art for the Steam Hack RPG or stuff at their website too.
Very good. That absolutely
Shameless plug for
right on. All right, so we are going to talk about Resurrection today, and
boy, somebody sounds like a Mormon.
I know, right?
No offense to all of our Mormon listeners. I'm highly doubting the thing.
I don't know. Who knows? Right on. Although, there was a Christian RPG.
Huge in Utah.
There was an Old Testament RPG that I saw at one point. I almost got it because I was just kind of like curious.
I mean, that's an OSR game for sure.
Right?
100%.
Right. All right.
Again, I will reference Passover.
I wonder if you could do that with something with that, or if you can
First of all, you want.
Well, I know that. I ain't scared. No. I wonder if you could slip that in to where it was subtle enough to where that would be fun to do.
Just go be like, haha, I'll show you, James Raggi. My RPG is the first one to be burned at Gen Con.
So today we're going to talk about Resurrection, and sort of the idea of this kind of comes from that Monty Python skit, which if you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, shame on you. Pause the podcast, go take whatever it is, an hour and a half, and watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail and absolve yourself of this terrible sin of not having watched Monty Python.
Clearly a spanking.
Okay.
Like the nuns in the thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense now. I was like, oh, spank me. I could do for a spanking. Yeah, I remember now. Is that Lancelot that goes there? Or is that Robin?
I want to say it's a Robin, but I've slept since then, so I'm not 100%
Two of them in there, because Lancelot comes there and then rescues him.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. Right on.
Sorry, derailed that whole thing.
That's all good. All right.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So everybody's familiar with the scene where the guy is dead and they're going to put him on the cart, and then he's not dead yet, and then he can't go on the cart, right? And they have this discussion back and forth, and it's terribly absurd. So what we're going to talk about, though, is there are lots of fantasy games that have resurrection or raise dead or something along those lines for a spell, right? And how that never gets addressed in the economy of the world. Because there's all these people that are dying everywhere. Adventurers are going out and dying, and granted, it's kind of expensive, but you're basically murder hobos. Surely you could pillage the town for 5,000 gold or whatever it is to get resurrected. So first, I guess, let's start off with have you ever seen terrible abuses of raise dead or any kind of those resurrection spells in the games that you've played? Because I have one that was actually me that was a terrible abuse of it. But
not that I recall. I don't actually remember having ever been resurrected in a game.
Right.
I don't. Maybe we just didn't have enough clerics
or enough money
or necromancers in our group.
Right?
Don't they? They're the ones that raise dead, right?
Well, but it comes back as a zombie. It's not like the good kind of raise dead. It's like you're
Okay, so what is
undead.
The difference between raise dead and resurrection?
I have to think now.
And then there's true resurrection, right?
Well, there's true resurrection, there's resurrection, and there's one that will bring you back to life -1 level. And I cannot remember the name of the spell, which is terrible of me right now. But there is a wizard spell that's a necromancy spell that you put an onyx in their mouth and they come back as some level of undead, depending on what their hit dice was when they died. So, but there's also another way. There's a wizard spell called Clone in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure it still exists in 5th level. And yeah, what did I say?
5th level.
5th level? I don't know. My brain is gone. So
it's an all right 5th level spell.
But I think it's 7th, but you cut a 1 inch by 1 inch cube of flesh out of you, generally out of the buttocks. It's $1 million wound. And
out of yourself, the wizard.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
and that's one of the components of it. And then it will, if you die, it makes a clone of you from that at that exact moment when it's cut out of you.
An inch is fairly like a square inch is a large.
Yeah.
Like you would be very pocked.
Well, that's the thing though, where it becomes irrelevant because we had a cleric in our party, so I just did it, and then he cast regeneration on me, and then it regrew the buttock, and it was all good.
I don't think that should be
It was. I don't know.
It should heal, but like as an indented scar.
Well, like it was still there though. Like the wound was still there when he
Right, but you can't create something from nothing.
It's magic.
No.
I don't know if you know this or not.
Negative. No. I demand you be covered with 1 inch square pockmarks.
So
that is the price of life.
My wizard character basically was unkillable in a sense because I had a clone, plus I was basically best buds with this incredibly powerful cleric, so it was just a moot point, right?
So the clone, how does that work? Like that's not like...
Yeah, it has all of your memories up to the point where you cut the flesh out of you. So anything that you've done before that, or I mean after that point, you don't know. So it has the spells you have memorized and all that kind of stuff. So then it was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna make the clone, I'll prepare this spell list so I had a safety measure things put in place so that my clone would be safe so you couldn't get to it and stuff.
It's the GM to be made to make that your new arch nemesis. Like the clone's personality changes and starts playing second fiddle to you, and it goes off on its own whirlwind adventure.
In these were 3rd edition games. This is listeners won't know, but you know Brandon, so he came to kill you, right? He was
evil twin arch nemesis, way better than death.
So you had to make characters that were survivable, basically, right? But I've also had games where someone died, so we just took him back to town and we'd pay the fee to resurrect him or whatever. Or maybe we're doing a job for the town and they had a decent level priest. It was like, look, if you want us to finish this job, you got to raise our buddy because he's our buddy, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess to start off with, how do you think it would change the world if we actually addressed and made it part of the world as not just like, hey, it's this spell that's written down and it doesn't actually change the world, right? But if you could actually bring people back from the dead, how would, how do you see that would change the world and the culture of the world?
I feel like you would have a business, right? You'd be like Miracle Max and the Princess Bride.
Right.
And it would just sort of, because first he works for the prince, right? Which makes the most sense. He who has the most money will have the resurrection.
True.
And you peasants will die as you have always died.
Well, actually, it would reinforce dynasties and that kind of stuff even more because there'd be no reason to worry about Alexander the Great falling in battle as long as you could drag his tattered carcass away to have it resurrected, right? Mm-hmm. So those political dynasties and the emperors, it almost doesn't even matter now because you can just bring them back, right? And true resurrection, I don't even think you need a single part of their body. So like they could incinerate them and it wouldn't matter. You could still bring them back. So like, boy, you could make a terrible villain if he just had like a sidekick priest that was pretty high level, that was hopelessly loyal to him and would just always bring him back.
Wicked clever to try and make that not happen. Well, I guess you kill the priest. I mean, that's the natural course of action, right?
Right. But it's just like one of those things like, didn't we already kill him? Mm. Well, yeah. But they brought him back to life. Wait, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I feel like it's never addressed as part of the world.
Well, it's kind of sad to me now that I think about it, that all of the super powerful villains that you've faced in traditional fantasy style games, none of them had a wizard with resurrection.
Like, that would be my first thing. It would be like, hey, all right, so I've got enough money now. I'm going to, like, couldn't you just buy an insurance policy that would just say, like, hey, I'm going to pay, buy 2 resurrections, get 1 free. BOGO, baby, And so you could just have, like, an insurance policy that says, hey, if I fall in battle or whatever, I've already paid the fee. Some priest shows up. And it's just like the resurrecting order, and they just sort of travel around and do their resurrections, and sort of like an insurance adjuster, right? You call the Geico guy.
Size on the
right.
That's the 3rd time this week, Bartholomew.
Right. So Like, doesn't that change everything? Because, like, you can't, like...
I have to get a lot craftier, right? That's where you get, like, you know, the lead boots sort of situation.
Right.
Like, if you can't find the body, you can't resurrect the body.
Or like an oubliette where you keep them alive and you just, like, lock them in a cell so they can't die.
Like a torpor style.
Right. Like, but... And then what about the god of death? Like, wouldn't he be mad? Like, having all these people as he's, like, escorting them across the river Styx and all of a sudden, oh, sorry. Do you hear that? I gotta go. The bell is ringing.
That's my ride.
Right, exactly, you know.
Later.
Like, there's like the resurrection bus just pulls up, you know, hop aboard, back to the land of the living. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a weird thing that never seems to get brought in and addressed. Do you know what I mean?
So, are you proposing some sort of, like, change in how you're doing this in game?
I suppose you have to make it, well, first you have to make one big decision is, does resurrection exist or raise dead or some form of that where you can bring people back from the actual dead? Does that exist in your world, right? If it doesn't, then problem solved, nothing changes, right? But if it does, then I think you have to make a decision about, well, one, how expensive is it? Because if it's so expensive that only like nobles and high, you know, very successful adventurers can afford it, that changes things a little bit, right? Because then the amount of people that are being resurrected is going to be pretty small in comparison to the world population. But think about all like the terrible despots and horrible, you know, monarchs that have existed throughout time. If there was resurrection, they'd never be gone. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's just weird because at the same time, like that would create a situation where you're always stealing the victory from your players because
it doesn't seem like you all the time, right? You know, like the god of death.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I feel like there would be some kind of limiting factor other than just monetary cost. So like every person that's doing one of these spells they're all divine, right? Like it's a God-given power,
right?
So I imagine there would be some kind of deity stipulation on either how often you could do it, or how well it worked, or what kind of people you were allowed to. Or you could save.
The clone spell would work. I mean, let me double. I'm going to bring it up right now, real quick, and see if you can cast it on someone other than yourself.
I feel like you'd be like never run out of food.
Oh my God!
It would always be like, and now I have another
one sheep to rule them all.
So I will eat sheep.
It's an 8th level wizard spell. Dun dun dun. Range touch.
Oh, like divine spells, they don't have spell stuff, right? Like
some of them do. I'll look in a minute.
Because that may opponent flower.
So I'm just going to read this. Okay, so this is the 8th level spell clone. It's an 8th level necromancy spell. The spell grows an inert duplicate of the living creature as a safeguard against death. This clone forms inside a sealed vessel and grows up to full size and maturity after 120 days. You can also choose to have the clone be a younger version of the same creature. Basically, you know, eternal life essentially at that point, right? It remains inert and endures indefinitely as long as the vessel remains undisturbed. At any time after the clone matures, if the original creature dies, its soul transfers to the clone, provided that the soul is free and willing to return. The clone is physically identical to the original and has the same personality, memories, and abilities, but none of the original's equipment. The original creature's physical remains, if they still exist, become inert and can't thereafter be restored to life, since the creature's soul is elsewhere.
So it's a centipede. It's like a skin suit for you to pop into.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it's a shell until you get to it. Basically, the material components though is a diamond worth 1,000 gold pieces and 1 cubic inch of flesh from the creature to be cloned, which the spell consumed, and a vessel worth 2,000 gold pieces. So basically, it's a giant coffin or something. So it's 3,000
really
gold.
Not that rare.
No, 3,000 gold,
right. But I mean that
to come back to life, or have a whole nother life, because like you said, you could be, you know, at a younger age, so you could, you know, live out your days, Marcus Aurelius style, die of old age and come back.
That was super fun. I want to write again.
You know what I'm saying? You know, so like it's just I don't know. I'm gonna go to Resurrection and see what it costs for that one.
I think you probably should only clone yourself after point cloning spell time. You only get one.
So Resurrection takes a diamond worth 1,000 gold pieces. True Resurrection is a sprinkle of holy water and diamonds worth a total of 25,000 gold pieces.
What's up with these? They're super basic.
Yeah, they're kind of uninspired. Like I want 1,000 gold pieces of weird and rare incense. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Or something from a creature that's like hard to get, like from Medusa's hair or something. A diamond.
Okay, so here's Raised Dead, and it is a diamond worth 500 gold. So now we're down to 500 gold pieces, okay?
More time.
And this one, you have to be able to touch them, and they have to have been dead for no longer than 10 days, and their life returns to their body, and they have 1 hit point. So at the bottom end, the bargain bin resurrection is raise dead, and that's 500 gold, right? And
That's just what it costs to actually perform the spell, though. That's not counting any upcharges that may be applied
yeah.
for manual labor and such.
Right. You know, gotta have my markup.
We only get some spells per day, and it's a hassle. You have to go out into the field, so to speak, and lay the hand.
So don't you feel like there would be lines of people with their dead relatives like begging to be raised at temples?
Like, absolutely. So we talked about this a little bit in the magic episode, right? Like, if you were truly capable of like curing leprosy and blindness and turning people's husbands into toads, like there would be a line around the corner of people that would want you to do these things. And so then you have like this, are you kind and caring, and is it some kind of internal struggle for you not to do these things, or are you just like, bitch, but I have my money?
Right. So I don't know, it's weird to me because I could see a world in which there's this line that's forever long, well, 10 days long, because after 10 days if you don't have the 500 gold, but there's still going to be people that are just going to ask for it and beg, and look for the mercy of the temple. So like, how is it that this has just never been a thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, think about how much effort and work goes into medicine, right? To keep people healthy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even work all the time, because people get sick and that's just how it works, right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. But spells, they work, because it's a story, but I just don't understand,
They're saying about that, like in the Bible, right? Like Jesus healing the sick and people coming to him. I mean, it basically happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're always showing up like, hey, Jesus.
Right.
I'd like to walk.
Right. Help me with these corns. So I don't know. I feel like the world, like when you put it in that context of a fantastical world, it should change everything essentially. Do you know what I mean? And the God of the Dead thing really I think is interesting, because then it's like, well, is there this bargain with the God of the Dead that says we're only going to raise 2 out of every 10 that die? You know what I mean?
I prefer to think of it as a Final Destination sort of scenario.
Oh, it's just like...
Now you are marked by death. Follows you everywhere with a log truck.
Like waiting. Got him. I don't know. It's just a weird thing that never seems to get addressed. And the morality
of it.
You
said that like 12 times.
I know. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like the morality of it changes things too. Because like, what about all these temples, right? And they're supposed to be for the benefit of all the people, but do they do it? Like, where would that come? You know what I mean? Like
in the Ravnos lodge, right? You're like, but the ripples. And you change the one thing and the paradox.
Reality. Just like, I don't know. It's hard to.
We've all seen those things, right? And where you save that one kid's life and he turns into some kind of terrible human, and you're like, oh, if you die, your morality led to poor things.
Right. So on the flip side of this, I could also see temples that were like to evil gods, right? And they would say, well, I would love to raise your poor dead grandfather, but we have a job that needs done. Do you know what I mean? And basically extort people for resurrection spells. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need this person assassinated. I need this idol stolen. I need this altar desecrated.
Extortion. It's just a barter economy is all that is.
It's fair enough.
It's the only difference. Goods versus services.
Right. But I didn't even think about it from like the evil priest side of this thing, because that's where it could get really twisted and interesting in terms of like inspiration for games.
Chaos is interesting too, right? So that's basically like Rocket in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like, I can make you this bomb, but I'm gonna need that dude's leg,
right?
And like, you don't even need it. You're just an agent of chaos,
right? Well, that'd be the priest of Cyric. So that's in Forgotten Realms. He's the god of chaos or whatever, right? So
he's like, yes, I will resurrect your friend, but I'm going to need you to cut down every 5th tree in the village. What?
I don't know. It's just a weird thing to think about and kind of an interesting way to set people in motion. And I always like those games where the person that you're working against, well, they're doing things for their own reasons, right? They're not just no one sees themselves as the villain of the story, right? So you could be fighting against someone who's doing whatever it is, overthrowing a city or whatever it is, because that's the fee that's been demanded of them for some resurrection spell or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't care story.
What do you mean?
Like, that's the reason your character character is out adventuring because he's like trying to like raise funds to resurrect his brother.
Oh, yeah.
He's been tasked with this mission in order to
I
resurrect
need
someone
3,000 gold pieces. Yeah.
and 1 diamond.
Well, it'd be funny too, because what if, especially in a place where it's like hereditary, so it's like the firstborn son gets everything, right? So maybe you're the second son and you've been sent out to go do this resurrection mission to raise money for the resurrection, but you really don't want to because like you're sort of giving away your inheritance plus the 3,000 gold pieces you raised to do this adventure. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's like the biggest, disaster. Like, why am I here?
I guess I've always thought of resurrection and raised dead and stuff like that as being something that someone in like a member of your party is able to do.
Right.
Like a cleric or whatever. But the same thing sort of applies there. Like, why are more people not following them around and seeking them out while you're off adventuring and they show up out of nowhere like, oh, Hezekiah, I've been looking everywhere.
Well, and then especially
I need your help. And of course, they're like good and you're all like evil troll and you're like, really, again, Hezekiah, we're gonna stop and do this. That's one less spell later on. If I fall in combat, then where are we? We're screwed.
Well, then it's another real reason to protect all of your priests and just lock them away so that they're safe.
In a tower.
Somewhere super safe where no one can get to them.
Like the tallest tower.
Right.
The highest room.
Keep their haircut short.
Very short. Tonsure style, isn't that what it's called? The tonsure. Monk.
So with the ring.
Yeah.
The shaved bald spot. So I think there's a lot of interesting potential there, but it's just never really been examined or looked at. Do you know what I'm saying? Because especially, what about you could even go one step further and say, if the cost of it is that much, right? And then you have the markup, whatever the priest is going to charge you to cast a spell. Well, then it's only going to be a thing where the royalty can do this. And so then now we're talking like peasant revolts and stuff like that, because if they overthrow this terrible despot dictator and then he just shows back up, like, hey.
See, again, they would obviously kill the priest person.
Yeah,
which is probably why you got to be careful not resurrecting monarchs, because the people, man.
Maybe that would be like a rule among
Viva
the
la
priests.
revolution.
Well, like it could be a rule though among the priesthood that would just say, we don't resurrect for these reasons or whatever it is. Like, so if the peasants rise up and
you
overthrow
gotta be careful
someone.
then too, because the monarch could just behead you.
That's true. Hey, are you going to resurrect me?
It's a difficult line.
Yes, I will. Every time and twice on Sunday. Yes. You're right.
Say yes. But then once he's dead.
Yeah, what's he going to do? Unless somebody else resurrects him and then he chops off your head. Always be the first one to raise him. That's the trick. That's the trick. Well, I can see a really cool situation too, where you're on a mission from Gad. You're on a mission from like the god of death, and there's a priest out there who's abusing his resurrection privileges or whatever that is, right? And so
he's way over his quota.
Yeah, exactly. So then the god of death takes note, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, you got to go." So then you get sent by the then maybe there could be a thing where that could be a really cool adventure. Like if you do this, then he'll raise you one time. He will show up and just, hey, get back up.
Give him a mulligan.
Yeah, basically, taking a mulligan on that critical hit.
Get out of death free card. I would totally type one of those up or something. Right. On cardstock. Here you go.
That could be a cool adventure idea, though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then so that it would set you in motion to be fighting a powerful enemy, because if they're a priest that can cast resurrection or true resurrection, we're talking pretty high level, right? And then who all can he call to his side to help him if he's spent so much time resurrecting people? You know, it's about having leverage over someone. Like,
yeah. Remember that time I didn't let you die?
Yeah, like, I helped you move. No. I brought you back.
Different plane of existence.
Yeah, exactly. That could be fun.
Like doing something good out of the kindness of their heart.
Right. Or what about like a circle of priests? That's what they do. They only send out like there's a circle of like 6 priests in this coven or whatever, right? And they only send out 2 at a time so that they can always be resurrected.
They're sort of Sith Lords.
Basically, right?
Showing like this one, the shriveled in the cloak.
Oh, wow.
Plus he's probably like a level 25 wizard at that point. I mean, or cleric or whatever.
The cult of the anti-death. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, Viva la Muerte.
family.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, there is a certain point where it does kind of cross over, you know? That's weird.
Tremere, right? I mean...
Well, that's pretty much it. Yeah, resurrection gone wrong. Right on. All right, so that's it. Do you have any other thoughts about it in the fantasy context of things?
Well, we didn't talk at all about resurrecting creatures. Like, does this work on creatures? Like, could I resurrect a dragon? I mean, that'd be a hell of a favor to call in, right?
Solves all the extinction problems, right?
Can I do it with just bones? Like, is that enough? Do I have to know the dragon personally? Can I have a pet dragon after this?
Bad dragon, I brought you back from the dead. Bad dragon, you come back here right now.
Well, other creatures too, but that's just obviously the first one that comes to mind. It's the biggest and the shiniest. Or giant.
Yeah, like you would think it would.
There's no specified limitations, right? It doesn't say it has to be a human or a player character, right? It could be
a goblin.
It could be anybody.
It's like, this was the coolest goblin ever.
I'm going to bring it back so I can kill him again.
What a jerk.
You are ultra evil.
It says touch a dead creature.
See, so it could be anything.
Hang on. Let me read this to you, okay? This is resurrection, okay? So, does a 7th level bard or cleric spell. Bard. I like how they're going to like sing, Stairway to Heaven and you're going to stand back up. Like, how the hell does that work? All right. So you touch the dead creature, specifically says creature, that has been dead for no more than, how long you think?
A day.
A century. A century.
So it could be.
Yeah. That didn't die from old age. That isn't undead.
That's oddly specific. Nobody actually dies from old age. There's always a condition that kills them.
True that. That's not a...
Which is what I would argue if it was my character.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You didn't die of old age. You have a heart attack.
It's heart failure.
It's cancer. What are you talking about?
So it neutralizes poisons, cures normal diseases, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So any creature, basically. So you could resurrect a dragon, a giant, a goblin.
Can you resurrect an undead creature?
No, it says not undead.
Oh, okay.
And they have to be willing. So if they're unwilling to come back, then they don't come back.
How would you know?
Well, you would cast it and then it wouldn't work. They'd be like, no, sorry. Although you could...
I was picturing a seance. I like that better.
Although if you had the bones or whatever, you could cast Speak with Dead and be like, hey, do you want to come back? Right?
Have I got a deal for you?
Exactly. A century. That's 100 years.
Okay, wait. Coolest creature.
I don't know. Dragon's got to be up there, but it seems kind of unpredictable how that would go. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if they're at least logical creatures.
True. I don't know. I think I would want something big and dumb that I could be like, I brought you back to life. Do you know what I mean? No, that's probably not going to go well. Maybe like a hill giant or something, Troll I could see going terribly wrong.
This is like weird. Do you remember original monsters like the mountain creatures, just like a giant hill or mountain? And they like move around.
Oh, yeah. Just go around casting on rocks and see if Earth Elemental stand back up.
Dragon turtle, that would be pretty sweet.
Ooh, yeah. Well, then if it was an unintelligent creature like a dragon, like I can't remember if dragon turtles
Owlbear.
Like they would automatically come back because like any wild creature automatically wants to come back to life. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I have tamed this hill.
I don't know, it's just weird.
He comes when I call. I have built my hut on top of it. It is like a hat.
But think about that for like powerful armies, right? Like if you have a dragon army and you're just like, oh, hey, the good dragons are gone, but we have all these bones. Who wants a resurrection party? Yay! Gather your diamonds.
Well, ideally they had a hoard, right? So the diamonds and gold already there. The investment itself.
I don't know. This is one of the things that I like about...
I've definitely never heard of anybody resurrecting something that wasn't
a character.
A character, yeah.
Yeah.
Something humanoid.
Humanish. Right. Man, that brings a whole new level to tomb robbing. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, we're going to go down and raise King Ramses. Boy, is he going to be pissed. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's been doing...
Oh, true story. True that. But you get the point, though. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know. It just seems crazy to me because it would change everything, right? And then if you combine that with clone, so you could resurrect them, cut the chunk of flesh, clone it, make it younger, kill them, and they're in a younger body now. Like, I feel like at that level, we're approaching some Indiana Jones-ish territory, right? Where we've gone to the full lengths of, like, the Ark of the Covenant, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, we're way off the reservation. We're doing some crazy stuff, right? But it's totally feasible, right? In that sort of, like, evil genius kind of a way.
I would make a super evil genius, like, changing forms and age, but it looks vaguely the same, but not always identical, like...
Well, and they're actually getting set on that mission. So here's a picture of him throughout the ages. He may look like any one of these 25 pictures. Or paintings or whatever.
Yeah, right. It's not exact. It's a painting. So.
You go accept the mission, and they have for you 6 paintings and 12 tapestries like take a good accounting of this art museum.
That'd be awesome.
He may look like one of these 18 paintings we have here.
Well, you have a lot of stories that are set up, right, with like the same, like Mothman prophecy style, right? Like the same man appears in all these photos throughout history.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's a cool scenario too. And there's always a disaster that ensues afterwards because some kind of terrible being and terrible wizard.
Man, this is so much fun. I can't believe that, I don't even know where this came to me at. And I was just like, wait a minute. I read this thing the other day about, no, it's not that. What I read. Either way. Dog.
Idea of a fantasy setting, trippy, investigative, not really time travel, but kind of scenario like that mom prophecy. That could be really, really fun for a group.
Oh, you could do fun things too with investigation stuff, because you could cast Speak with Dead and be like, if you give me the answers willingly or whatever, I'll resurrect you. Right? Some hellified leverage to have over someone, you know what I mean? Oh, man. Or what if you just killed someone and then cast Speak with Dead on them? So like you're investigating someone, you murder them, and then cast Speak with Dead. Like, you can give me the answers, or I can just kill you, make you give me the answers, and then resurrect you. What do you think about that? Like, what?
So it's good cop, bad cop, then.
I think that's called bad cop, bad cop. Oh, man. I've always liked playing priest because it just changes it. Like the things that they have are different, like on a different kind of power scale in a lot of ways. So, alrighty. So, do you think that there's anything else to mention about like sci-fi that would be different? Because like in a lot of sci-fi stuff, they have like the healing vats and the big tanks, and cloning is definitely a thing. But then it kind of gets into this weird thing of like, where's your memory contained? Do you know what I mean?
I think there's something like just the idea into something else. And interesting. Science fiction is sort of all about exploring the lines of morality that are involved, scientific agents like that. Is this a living vessel? If it is it that you like delete its conscience or yourself? Or did it ever have a consciousness? Man. Is it
Dude, we should
less
totally
important than yours? Or are you just being uploaded like a simulation system or something?
We should totally maybe we should game storm something where the scenario is something like there's a person who had information, right? They knew they were on like a hit list or whatever, right? So they upload the information, they upload their conscience into a thing as like a backup, right? With like this fail safe. If I don't check in every day, then it uploads and does whatever, right? Then along those lines, you're tracking them down or whatever it is, however the scenario goes. But basically, it's going to be like what you're talking about, where a person gets cloned and then this microchip that has all that information gets plugged into them, because it's feasible to say they've got some kind of neural network thing where they can like plug in microchips or whatever, right? So you'd have all that information. So then are you a real person? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that all work?
See, I pictured the straight up ethical train scenario in clone. So perhaps you have this person's mind is backed up and they have to save a lot of lives, but to do that, you have to override someone else's consciousness by uploading them into that person. So to kill that one person in order to potentially save these other people.
Right. That's a lot of fun. That could be a cool mothership game. It's really trippy and cool, because what's weird about that one is it's not that far-fetched. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously we can't do it now, but
it's a classic ethical dilemma too. It's, okay, do I let these two people die when they've died, or do I pull the lever and knowingly murder someone in order to save people?
Well, and then
do I choose the lesser,
along with that, you're looking at the possibility too. Are those people that are grown in a lab and given memories that are uploaded, are they real people? Do they really have those experiences? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, then you're getting into this weird consciousness debate, because like, how do you know you had your experiences? Because you go to sleep and then you wake up and you remember that stuff, but how do you know you wake up the same person, like functionally? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this thing that I heard that's like, everyone's afraid to die, but everyone wants to go to sleep. Whoa, what? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a weird mind trip. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. We should put that together as a mothership sci-fi scenario, like Expanse style, believable sci-fi, hard sci-fi style. I think there's a lot there because it's really close. You know what I mean? Like, it's at the edge of...
I also hugely interesting scenario when it comes... So, losing a loved one, right? Like, you never want to do that. And there was that Black Mirror episode where she has, like, the text service where she's, like, talking to the person. Well, what if you could upload somebody's information into your head? Like, that very much like, now you're with me all the time. Kind of like...
Yeah, I can see some like Johnny Mnemonic style glitches happening, where you're like, it's overriding stuff in your head and whatever. Yeah, that's wicked cool.
Almost like Misery, right? Like Stephen King's Misery.
Yep.
Like, inside a brain.
But inside, the house is inside the person's mind basically at that point, right? Like, she breaks his legs and locks him down so he can never leave. Oh, man.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. That could be like a cool, almost like Bluebeard Bride thing too, where you'd have one person playing the person that got uploaded that's trapped, right? And then two or three other people playing the other aspects of their personality that keep them there, stuck there. That's cool. Oh man. All right. Cool. Right on. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap that one up there. We could go on and on probably on sci-fi stuff, but I think that may turn into a game storming episode because I think that's got a lot of really cool potential to do something with. It's in that kind of mothership expansey kind of world where we could do something really cool with that. So, look for that one coming in the near future sometime. So I think that'll do it for us this week. So if you have any cool resurrection or raised dead stories about things that have happened at your table, I'd really be curious to hear about it because it just seems like it's something that just sort of happens and then we move on. Like it's like a procedural part of the game instead of it being like a large cultural or significant story moment like it ought to be, right? So if you have any cool experiences or terrible experiences,
life impacting for the person either.
Yeah,
They're like,
right.
And I'm back.
Oh, hey guys,
back to the adventure.
Man, that sucked.
Like there was no angst involved with that. You're not having an existential crisis right now.
Or you come back and be like, whoa, I really got to make some changes.
Why is the barbarian laying off the beer and drinking water all of a sudden?
The abyss really sucks, guys. I don't want to go back there. Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun. All right. So if you've had any great experiences or terrible experiences with Raised Dead or Resurrection at your table, hit us up and let us know. We'd love to hear about them. Be interesting to see what you guys have had work or didn't work or any cool moments you've had at your table. If you like what we do here at Just One More Fix, you can support us at patreon.com/JustOneMoreFix and head over there and support us. And get access to all of our raw audio feeds and pre-shows, as well as our zine in print or PDF format, depending on what level of support you support at. I am all tongue-tied today for some reason at the end of this here. My tongue needs resurrected, apparently. And join the ranks of our awesome Patreon supporters like Simon McNair, Alistair H., Timothy Barra, Hector Treeland, Tiziano Furlano, Alan White, and the OG Todd Olson. I think that'll do it for us this week, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. This has been an episode of Just One More Fix. Music has been provided by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him at incompetech.com. You can support us at patreon.com/JustOneMoreFix or follow us on Twitter at Just One More Fix.